This is iDesign Lab, a podcast where creativity and curiosity meet style and design. Curator of interiors, furnishings, and lifestyles. Hosted by Tiffany Woolley, an interior designer and a style enthusiast, along with her serial entrepreneur husband, Scott. iDesign Lab is your ultimate design podcast, where we explore the rich and vibrant world of design and its constant evolution in style and trends.
Welcome to the iDesign Lab podcast. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Scott.
And today we are going to be talking about something that's hard to ignore once you start paying attention. If you ever walked into a coffee shop, hotel, restaurant, or even somebody's home and thought, this feels familiar. And it's not because you've been there before, but because it looks like just so many other places that you've already seen.
I think most people have experienced that. You walk in and almost know what you're going to see before you see it. The furniture, the lighting, the color, the layout, it's all looks like somebody handed everyone the same design playbook and said, hey, here it is.
What's interesting is that these spaces, even though they're beautiful, it's not bad design. It's just in many cases, it's actually very good design. It's just, why does it all seem so familiar?
And that's what we're exploring today. Why does everything seem to be and look the same? How did we get there? And what does it mean for creativity, originality, and the future of design?
So this is the coffee shop test.
Yes, the coffee shop.
Okay, so think of like your local Starbucks and also the curated, cute mom and pop shop, like coffee stop in your neighborhood. So let's start with the easy example. Like we said, coffee shop. Let's think of the last few coffee shops you visited. Chances are they share a lot of the same design elements. Think wood tables, black metal industrial fixtures, neutral colors, plants, and maybe even a brick or exposed wall and ceiling.
And somehow there's always one corner that fits perfectly for photos. You know, it seems like it's all the time. You can almost picture the Instagram posts before they happen. What's funny is that these elements become popular for good reasons. They create a warm and inviting atmosphere.
The problem isn't the design itself. The problem is that once a trend is proven successful, everyone starts copying it. One coffee shop does it, then another, and before long, this style just becomes redundant and the standard.
And this coffee shop style has been around for quite some time. And eventually things do, that are made up or unique disappear. Instead of remembering a particular coffee shop, you remember a trend. That's when design starts losing some of its personality.
So it's not just in coffee shops either. It's in restaurants, hotels. Think of apartment building entries, office spaces, even retail stores. Sometimes you can travel hundreds of miles and feel like you've just walked into the same place.
That's a great point. Design used to tell us where we were. Now it often tells us what trends we're looking at.
So how do we find inspiration today? One of the biggest reasons this is happening has to do with where inspiration comes from. Years ago, designers gathered ideas and inspiration from books, from traveling, from existing architecture, museums, nature, and everyday experiences.
Today, most of us start online. We open Pinterest, we open Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or design websites. There's nothing wrong with that. These platforms are incredible resources, but they also create a new challenge.
That's when that algorithm pops up and the challenge that millions of people are looking at the exact same images. Everyone starts from the same source of inspiration, and not surprising, many projects all begin to look the same.
And then the algorithm steps in again. The first and most unpopular designs get the most engagement. Those designs get pushed to more people. More people save them, share them, and copy them. And
bring them to me.
Yeah, and the cycle keeps repeating itself.
So what starts as inspiration can quickly become imitation. A designer sees a living room they like, then another designer sees the same room, then a homeowner sees it, and before long, that one image has influenced thousands of spaces.
And here's the interesting part about it. Most people think they're making these original choices because they've personally discovered it.
Imagine.
They found it themselves on a social site or somewhere. What they don't realize is that thousands of other people have discovered the exact same thing.
I know, it's kind of bizarre, but the Pinterest living room is kind of like what we're talking about. People come in the office and they say, let's talk about that famous Pinterest living room. Most people can picture it immediately. It's light walls, neutral furniture, simple decor, a few plants, maybe a black frame mirror somewhere. Think like that modern farmhouse chic.
And usually a coffee table with one carefully placed book that no one's ever opened and probably ever will.
Exactly. And once again, we got to stress, it's not a bad look. It's clean, it's attractive, it photographs well. But after you see it over and over, you just start wondering, where have these people's individual personalities gone?
That's the challenge. Sometimes people spend just so much time trying to create a space that looks great online that they forgot to create a space that reflects who they are.
So that's where we come in often, but a home should tell your story. It's a collection, a curated group. It reflects your interests. It should be your experience, your personality, how your family forms and functions in a space. Otherwise, it just becomes a showroom and not a home.
Which is the most fun to have.
Yeah.
And that's something we're seeing in many areas of design today, the pressure to fit into the trends that can sometimes outweigh the desire to create something personal.
Right, because people are kind of designing for social media. Social media has changed design in so many ways. Some of these changes have been for the positive. Businesses can reach customers more easily. Designers can share their work with the world, so you can really connect with a designer that might not be in your backyard, and you can still collaborate and work together. So there really are so many positives to social media.
But social media also, has changed how spaces are created. More and more environments are being designed with the camera in mind.
Could you imagine?
And AI.
AI is a big one too. But let's go back. Think about restaurants. You see a giant flower wall, neon signs. They became a dime a dozen. And these dramatic backgrounds specifically designed for photo opportunities. The goal is to encourage customers to share their experience online. We see it all over town.
And from a marketing perspective, it's brilliant. Every customer becomes part of the advertising campaign. The photos spread across social media and it helps attract new visitors.
I mean, just this morning, our girls, as you know, our teenagers were like, there's a new coffee shop in town. The only reason they know is because they saw it on social media.
And it looks just like every other coffee shop.
And it's got a place for a selfie.
And I had to say to them, is the coffee going to be any better than any of the other places? Why are you going out of your way to this? But social media is driving them there.
Social media. So it leaves us a challenge to make sure that our experience is just as strong as the image. A space shouldn't only look good in a picture, but it should feel good when you're actually in the space.
And that's a distinction that often gets overlooked. Great design is about more than appearance. It's about comfort, function, emotion, and experience. And a photograph only captures one part of that story.
The safe choice problem, that's another thing that, we see often in combat in our everyday work. We think about how people just want what everybody else has. So naturally, we want to reduce that risk. If a design style is already proving itself successful, it's tempting to just keep repeating that formula. All right, so I think another factor in business, naturally, you want to reduce risk, and people just kind of tend to go with a style. If it isn't broken, don't fix it. And if it's proven successful, it's very tempting to continually replay that formula.
But honestly, that's understandable. If you're investing a lot of money into a project, choosing something familiar can feel safer and a little easier than trying something completely new. And as we know, most people have a very tough time trying to do something new and out of the box.
Right. People have a hard time trusting what they're not familiar with.
Correct.
But there's definitely much more positivity and growth in that. The problem is that innovation rarely comes from playing it safe. Most of these designers we celebrate today were considered unusual when they first appeared.
That's true. In architecture, branding, fashion, technology, and entertainment, the things that stand out are often the things that are different enough to make people notice.
And that's what we want. Sometimes the best ideas make people uncomfortable, and that's where the most growth happens. And a lot of times it's just because they're unfamiliar.
And that's why originality takes courage. It's easier to follow a trend than create a new one.
Exactly.
And I think that's what we're always trying to do, is get every person with their home to create their own trend for their own
And that
style.
is something that is so important to me with each project. And I definitely think that TW Interiors does such a great job of really collaborating with our clients and create something super unique. So we've talked a little bit about homes, but also regarding businesses, we can discuss
Let's talk
logos.
about logos. Yeah, let's talk about logos.
So let's talk about logos. And this area where people have noticed a change over the last decade is brands have simplified their logos. Everything's more generic.
I know we just spent a lot of time with our kids
Fine-tune
trying to
ours.
fine-tune a logo for their band. And we did the same thing I think that most people do, is go look at what else is out there and then realize, wait a minute, let's be creative and let's do something different.
And
There's a lot of
ChatGPT
companies
for a little help.
Yeah, and a lot of companies have moved towards a cleaner, minimal design. The goal is usually to be flexible. Simple logos work well on websites, apps, social media, and digital platforms, which is something that we, looked for in the logo that we were creating.
Definitely. I even think like logos are almost like a monogram. There's definitely advantages to a simple approach, and it can make a brand easier to recognize. It's also easier to translate through different platforms.
But there's another side to this conversation. When enough brands move in the same direction, some of that individuality seems to disappear. A lot of logos begin sharing similar characteristics and start looking the same.
So that's the balancing act that even, all designers face today. It's just how you stay modern and current, but not becoming generic.
And that's not an easy question to answer. The best designers find ways to be simple and memorable at the same time.
I love that. I really do. That's the most important part, is to be simple but memorable. Another example where we see these, integrated designs just becoming so mundane is like vacation rentals. I know there's Airbnbs are a big thing. People use them for obviously great travel opportunities, as well as great investments. But years ago, traveling was such a huge part of inspiration. It was about experiencing a new place, unique with its own characteristics, its own personality, and obviously design style.
But today, most of these rentals, their features are so similar in furniture, similar in color, similar in decor, and similar in layout. They all are basically kind of following each other, thinking that that's what, the general public, everyone wants to see. It's easy for them.
Right. And becomes so easy. You kind of don't even remember what city you're in. You wake up and it's not like you're in this special place feeling something unique. It's just become standardized.
And that's really unfortunate, because travel is supposed to introduce us to new experiences and new designs, and the way in which people live in one part of the country or the world to the other, and how they design their homes and their decor, tells a story. Design can help tell a story, of a place. And when everything looks the same, some of those stories get lost, and it's sad.
It is so sad. And that's like the struggle we're all going to have to face, especially with this next generation, with everything being at our fingertips and just, falling into the norm. The most memorable places usually have a strong sense of identity.
Exactly. They reflect the culture, the history, the personality of the location, instead of simply following the latest trends or what everyone else is doing online.
So this is when we need to talk about AI, because no conversation is complete without discussing AI. And it is important. It's important in every business these days for efficiency and growth. But we've got to not let it overtake us.
Yeah,
and take
but
away
AI
our
is
creativity.
changing almost every creative field. It can generate images, logos, websites, layouts, concepts, marketing materials in seconds. It's just unbelievable. I mean, music.
It really is unbelievable, but it's not translating the personality. Like, people are doing it because it's fast, it's quick, it's impressive because it's fast and it's quick, but it's not, it's not designed. So even though technology is extremely powerful and saves us time, it definitely sparks ideas. We all use it now, and it helps you explore possibilities that you might not have been, aware of. We have to be careful to not fall in that slippery slope of just going with what you see.
Yeah, well, the question is whether AI will increase creativity or lead to even more the sameness.
Ooh.
After all, AI learns from existing work. It studies what's already out there.
Well, so it just keeps repeating the same stuff. I think the answer depends really on how people end up using it. If AI is relied upon entirely, the results are going to be pretty darn predictable.
But if AI becomes one tool among many, it can actually help people push ideas further. The human element is still the most important aspect in creativity, and I think it always will be.
Oh, we can't lose sight of that. And I feel like as long as that phone is in your face, you might. So you have to stay curious, stay imaginative, and keep the perspective. It can always be automated, but nothing is as...
Exactly. Technology can generate options. People still have to decide what matters.
You want to stay original. So how does one do that in this crazy new world we live in and not fall into any of these traps that look like everyone else?
I think it starts with getting away from the screen occasionally. I mean, that's a problem we have in our house. Some of the biggest inspirations come from places that have nothing to do with design.
Well, no, and they even just spark like a creative moment. Like, you don't even necessarily have to be in it. Travel's a huge example. Reading and having your own vision through reading, meeting new people, exploring different cultures, and just simply paying attention to everyday life sparks creativity.
Yeah, and sometimes some of the most creative ideas come from unexpected places. A theater might inspire you, or a restaurant. A museum might inspire a retail store. Nature might inspire an entire brand.
Absolutely. And the more experiences you collect, the more unique your perspective becomes, and it becomes so yours.
Yeah, and the perspective is ultimately what separates original work from copied work.
So as we look ahead, do we want things to stay the same? It will continue if we don't, to this mundane sameness. We definitely want to see originality. So let's start doing it.
I think we're actually approaching a shift where, people are beginning to crave, authenticity.
That's a huge word.
Yeah.
In almost every podcast, beyond design is authentic.
They want experience that feel real, personal, and unique.
I agree.
I do.
Me too. I agree. There's a growing appreciation for character and individuality. People want places that tell a story instead of just a trend.
Yeah, because that creates opportunities for designers, business owners, and brands willing to take, thoughtful risks.
So when everything looks the same, and originality becomes more valuable, which is great for the design world. Anything that is designed and created is an original.
Yeah, and that's encouraging.
And that's got value.
Yeah, no, it is encouraging because it suggests that creativity isn't disappearing. It's simply waiting for people to be more willing to think differently. And that's what people need to be doing.
So maybe the lesson here is that trends aren't necessarily bad because they do inspire us and they do help spread ideas. And the problem happens to be when they become substitutes for creativity.
Yeah, because great design always has been about more than following what's popular. It's about understanding people, solving problems, and creating experiences that leave a lasting impression.
The designs we remember are rarely the ones that blend in. We always say stand out.
Yeah, and they're ones
Set the
that
tone.
make us stop, think, feel something.
And in a world where things are starting to look the same, it's now more important than ever to really stand out.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. What places, trends, or brands do you think are becoming too similar? And where are you still finding originality?
Leaving us with little thought tidbits. So let us know. And thanks again for joining us on the iDesign Lab Tidbit.
And we'll see you again next week.
iDesign Labs podcast is an SW Group production in association with the 5-Star and TW Interiors. To learn more about iDesign Lab or TW Interiors, please visit twinteriors.com.